Hello everyone, I'm here today with a flip through video. This is Wales part 2. So where I left off was right here. So hopefully you recognize some of these if you've watched that flip through. So I stayed the night in Abergavenny, Wales, and then when I got up in the morning, I got on the train and went right off to spend a couple of days in Cardiff. So that's where we're starting here with this flip through. So, as I did with the previous part, whenever I got to a new town or city where I spent a great deal of time, I have a section divider where I have the name of the city, and then I chose to use a wood veneer there. So here I have my city skyline, since Cardiff was definitely the biggest place that I visited in Wales. And I love that I did a full 6x8 there. And then here was just my arrival into the train station, so I wanted to showcase that. I got to some fun things from the Ellie Edwards travel releases that she's done, so love being able to put that to use. And then over here, this is a newer style of page protector that I'm trying. I like to have the option of a horizontal 3x4 sometimes. There aren't a lot out there. I do have some smaller inserts that are a 4x6 that would just be the middle, but when I found this one, I was super excited, and this comes from close to my heart. So if you haven't seen this yet, that's where you can get it. And I was just doing some random exploration of the blocks around my hotel when I came in, because I checked in, put my bag down, and then went out into the city. And so I just have kind of some random pics here and talk about getting into Cardiff. And then some more random stuff here. I think actually all of these were right on the first block, walking up towards the castle from my hotel. So they were all along my path. And I mean, look at these gorgeous buildings. I love it. All I did was do some basic stamping, put a little label on there, used a wood veneer. It was super easy. And now here I have a 6x8 insert, and I chose to highlight the flowers because I was there at a time when where I live, spring was nowhere near starting yet, really. But here, even though it was early March, look at this. All of their flowers were up and blooming. So this is one thing I love about England and Scotland and Wales, is that when I have visited there in the spring, they're way ahead of where I live, and I love to see these flowers growing already. It's a treat for me. I don't see that. I live in Minnesota. Spring is definitely not here in March. So then here I went up to the castle. So this is as I was approaching. I was super excited for this. This and the art museum were probably the biggest things I was looking forward to in Cardiff. So very, very excited. And I did include a flip here with some stickers underneath there. And then this was fun to put together. At first I thought I was going to add tabs and put it into the album that way. And then I decided, you know what? This is perfectly sized to fit right in there as is. If I added tabs, it would actually make it too big. It would stick out too far, or I would have had to fold back the bag, which was my first thought of what I was going to do. But I decided to just put it in as is. And then inside of here, I have some extra things, a little bit of journaling, the map of the castle, my receipt from when I went shopping in the gift shop, 2 extra photos there, and then this postcard that I bought. Originally, I thought I was going to use this in the actual layout when I got to this room, but I ended up not needing it, and so I decided just to put it in here instead. I also decided to decorate the back of the bag here. I had a photo of the tower here, round tower, that's separate from the castle up on the hill, so I decided to put that in there, and I just added this cute little stamp of a suit of armor. Gotta have your knights if you have a castle. And then I just used some vellum here to tone down this wild paper a little bit so that the background wouldn't be so obtrusive. But I loved this dragon statue, so I had to do a selfie with it. And of course I wanted that in the album. And then I have some great pictures of the grounds here outside of some of the major parts of the castle. And I love how the colors turned out here. I didn't plan that in the beginning, but the skies were just so blue, I couldn't not use it. So it all came together pretty nicely here. And then some more pictures of the grounds before I actually did the inside tour. This was right before COVID lockdowns hit, and so they were still doing inside tours. So I was probably one of the last people to get one before everybody went into lockdown. And then here I used a page protector style that isn't my favorite. It's all 3x3s. And I only have these because they came in a variety pack. I probably would not buy them on their own. They're just not my favorite, but I did manage to use it here. I had a bunch of pictures from the private library that's inside the castle, and they just ended up fitting really well into this style. So I got lucky in that respect. And then here it was on to one of the major bedrooms in the house, very green. And so I decided to use that to my advantage. So I added some bright green elements here, some gold, because of course there's tons of gold in these photos too, because when you have money to burn, that's what you do. So I have all of those here. And I loved the big puffy phrase that I was able to add there. It took up a lot of space too, which was nice. Then on the back, this is just another room. This was the winter smoking room, because of course you need one that's just for during the winter, right? So I took some lovely pictures in there and I wanted to highlight those. Look at that floor. And then this was just so gorgeous, it had to have its own page. What's interesting about the Arab room is that you can't actually go in the room because there are some structural issues. So they had it roped off, but you could lean in through a doorway that they had open and see the ceiling. Look at that thing. And notice my journaling, 8 million pounds of gold leaf just in this room. That's a lot. I think that deserves to be highlighted. Then over here it was on to the Banquet Hall, which was also just crazy beautiful, as you can see. I mean, check this ceiling. I can't imagine back in the olden times sitting down and having a meal there. It's just so surreal to me, but people did it. And so here's another close-up view of the ceiling. Here again, I mean, it's just amazing. You can't really get too many views of it. I spent a lot of time wandering in here and getting a neck ache because I was craning up to the ceiling for so long. And then in here, this is just another separate room, and the owner at the time loved to do different rooms in themes. And so you can see here, this has a Greek theme because we have Greek writing here, and then some of the motifs that are in here, and then there's the Arab room, which has more of like a Moroccan style, and then you'll see some more when we go up to the rooftop garden. So in here I decided I love these lovely stained glass windows here, and so I decided to do a pocket that had some fun sequins. So luckily I had 2 photos, so I could do the sequins to match so that it works for both sides. And then these are photos from the children's playroom. Can't imagine children actually playing in here. And I journaled about that. It's just like so crazy. It's so ornate. And then I don't know what story this is. They did mention it during the tour and I don't remember. But those are people's heads on stakes. And that's in the playroom. So make of that what you will. And then here we are at the rooftop garden. So there is a big skylight at the top of this. That's why you can see good light coming in there. But this is also in a very Middle Eastern style here, which is fantastic. Look at that red. It's just gorgeous. And I love the mosaic floor. So we go from very top to very bottom. So this is the top, and then below the castle there are Roman walls from the 3rd and 4th century, I believe. And then they had an artist come in and do this mural depicting scenes from the history of Wales. They were conquered by the Romans, and so that is depicted here. And I have a flip going, and you can see the actual old Roman walls here, which are super old. We don't have anything that old in the United States, so that's pretty cool. And once I finished at Cardiff Castle, I was off to the National Museum. I wanted to see all the art galleries, so I went to do that. And just a note here, this has journaling inside it, but because this is essentially a back-facing page, in order to get that out, you'd have to take it out from this side and then read it. There's nothing major in there. I just liked the look of it. So it's not like it needs to be hidden journaling. It just happened to work out that way. And when I was done there, then I decided to go to the Impressionist galleries, and I wanted to see all of the Monets. They have quite a few in Cardiff, so I made sure that I could see those, and it was nice that it just worked out that there was a set that really had a pink theme going, and then a set that had more of a blue or bluish green theme going. So maybe they knew I was coming and they all happened to match for my scrapbooking. And I needed to take a little break after all that walking, so I did a selfie there, just sitting down on a little bench, couch thing, taking a break. But it was totally worth it if you've never been. I highly recommend going to the museum. Part of it is art, and then part of it is actual natural history, so you get both. So once I was done there, that was a full day already. I spent multiple hours at both locations. So by the end of the day, things were closing. So I decided to just go back to my hotel for a little bit. So I actually got up to my room to see it, since now it was past check-in time. So I just have some photos from around the hotel and of my actual room. So I was in room 414. And check this out. I love this view. That was just looking out my window down at the street. They just don't make buildings like that where I live. So I was pretty impressed by that. And then I had a very simple hotel room. I basically chose the smallest option they had because it was just me. So you get a set of bunk beds and it's a corner room. So it was quite compact in there. But for me, it was perfect because I was a solo traveler. And really, when I'm out on vacation like this, looking at a city, I'm hardly in my room. So for me, that's more than fine. So then I had to do some work. So I decided to stay in, just eat right in the, you can order food from the restaurant into the lobby kind of area, and there's a sitting area in the hotel. And so I chose to do that. There was hardly anybody in there but me. So it was super quiet. I was able to sit and get some work done. I included a receipt there. So that helped me because most of the time when I am traveling, I am working as well. And then over here, I decided to include the hop on, hop off bus map so that I can review that later and remember where things are. It gives me the lay of the land. It also helps anybody looking at the album so they can visualize where things are placed throughout the city. And on the back, I found this really funky kind of modern print postcard for Cardiff, and I love it. And so I definitely knew I wanted to use it, and it just fit perfectly on the back of this map. So since I had a quiet evening in the hotel, there was really nothing else to show for that day. So then we start with the next day, breakfast in the hotel. Again, it was easier just to eat there. They had great options. So I figured I'd make it easy on myself and just start the day that way. And then I'd have the whole rest of the day for sightseeing. And the first thing I wanted to do was get back on the bus and go down to Cardiff Bay because there were multiple things there that I wanted to see. The only bummer was it was a little misty that day. So it wasn't full on raining yet, but it was misty. Not a great day to be outside. So it helped. There were some buildings where I could go in quickly, get out of the mist for a while, look around, enjoy what I was seeing inside, and then go back out again. But here is on the way there. This is the studio where Doctor Who was filmed. And I used to watch the older version. I haven't seen any of the last couple newer versions. But I passed it and I knew right away that's what it was. And so I thought, okay, have to take pictures of that, get it in the album. And then over here, I've done some journaling about what I saw. This is just a big sculpture and art piece that's on the plaza there. But I saw the Millennium Center, which they do concerts and things there. And it has this really cool front with some Welsh wording here, which is fun. And then this is actually where they have their government building. So you wouldn't know from the outside really that that's what it is, but it's there and you can go in and check it out. Now you probably can't because of COVID stuff. I think they've locked down more. But at this time, before everything had really hit, I was able to go right up there, and not a big deal to go in and look and see what you want to see. So kind of a fun little plaza area on the bay. And then right across from that is the Pierhead Building. And this has a fun history because it used to be offices for the docks because, you know, all of the shipping traffic that was coming in and out of the bay there. Then it served as military offices during World War II for a while. And there's a plaque there commemorating that and some other pieces of information here. And now it's really just a building that showcases history and culture of Wales. So it's a gorgeous building. If you're ever in Cardiff, I highly recommend you go there as well. I mean, look at this architecture on the inside. It's phenomenal. Look at this staircase. I was just staring at it for quite some time. The person who was working the desk probably thought I was a weirdo. I don't care. And then this is upstairs. There are multiple floors. I mean, just look at these archways. They're so gorgeous. Had to get a selfie there too, because it's not every day I get to see architecture like that. And then when I was done there, I left the Cardiff Bay area. It was raining a little bit harder by then, so you can kind of tell the skies are very gray outside. So I decided to go over to City Hall. So I went over there, perused the grounds a little bit. I love that they have dragons everywhere. That's kind of my jam, so I'm okay with that. So these are all from the outside, and then inside there are two main levels that you can view as a tourist if you just walk in. They don't really do guided tours, but you can just show yourself around. And there really was nobody else in there. There were a couple people working, but I didn't really see any other tourists, so I kind of had the place to myself, which was really nice. So these are all on the main area, and then upstairs they have all of these different statues dedicated to different people involved in politics and the history of Wales. And I went with a very black, white, and red theme here with a little tan thrown in, because those were the main colors, and it made it really easy to bring these pages together with that color scheme. So I have a wood veneer that I was able to do. I fussy cut this from a piece of paper. I had this little foam star already. Found a great sticker that fit with the theme. Threw some washi behind here. This was super easy, but I love that it looks elegant, a little refined, but it was easy to do. Once I was done at City Hall, I had heard about Cardiff Cathedral, and there are actually several cathedrals. There's a really big one that has spectacular architecture, but it's a little ways outside of Cardiff Central, and the hop on hop off doesn't go there, so I would have had to take an extra train or bus. It was just a little bit too far for the other things that I wanted to do, so I didn't get to see that. But this cathedral, Cardiff Cathedral, is right in the center of town. And so I just mapped it on my phone, walked. It actually ended up being not that far from my hotel. And it was raining pretty hard here. So it was great to be able to just duck inside and spend some time inside the church, be out of the rain and not have to worry about that. So it wasn't as magnificent as I expected. When I hear cathedral, I have certain things that I think of. And this just wasn't the same as other cathedrals I've been in big cities. It was still lovely, but that's why I only have this single page here, because I really didn't take a ton of photos in there. And there's no rule that says I have to. It's just that's the way it turned out. So then I obviously scrapbook, but I also do decorative sewing. I do cross stitch a lot. And I had seen that this store was in Cardiff, and I thought, well, it's really not that far off the hop on hop off bus from one of the stops. I think it was about 4 blocks. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to go down there and just see what they have. And it's a very sort of old school shop, very crammed, very messy in my mind. Like, it was not super organized in the way it was set up. But it was definitely an independent shop. I got to talk with the 2 local women that were working there. We had a great conversation. I probably spent about an hour in the store, and half of that was just chatting because there was only one other customer other than me the whole time I was in there. And so we had a lovely time just chatting about our projects and being from the US and, you know, what it's like to live in Wales. So it was totally worth going. I only bought maybe 20 pounds worth of items in there, but totally worth it for me. And then by that time, it was kind of the end of the day, getting, between all those sites and everything and getting back, things were getting ready to close again. And it was still raining at that time. And so I thought, I'm just going to go back to my room and rest for a little bit while I get ready to figure out my dinner. Well, this is what I decided to do for dinner. And then it cleared up. So actually the rest of the evening was nice after that, which is great. But this was right across the street. So it made for a very easy dinner to just run over there. So this is the building I could see out my window of my hotel room, which is awesome. So I went over there and had my little food adventure, and this was very easy to scrap too. I kept it pretty basic. And that was it for Cardiff. Again, I went back to my room after that, did some work, and then in the morning, it was actually off to Shrewsbury, which is in England. I have pulled out those photos. Those will be in its own album. So it's kind of a weird shift here where, I'm in Cardiff, and then I take off, but then we skip over Shrewsbury, and then I go to Rill, which was my Next stop, back in Wales. So this is my arrival in real, and again, I did the word there in the white font with the wood veneer. I just chose a geotag to keep it simple. And then again, it looked like it was going to rain, so I was hightailing it to my bed and breakfast to make sure I could get there in case it started pouring. It didn't really, but it sure looked like it was going to. So this is kind of the neighborhood here, and my place that I stayed was the Anchor B&B, so I wanted to make sure I got a picture of that. I just have that underneath. That was my room, so I wanted to make sure I got a nice picture of that. And then this was my dinner that evening. The host of the bed and breakfast gave me this recommendation. Tried it. It was fantastic. Had a lovely meal, so that was worth it. And then that's really all I did that night because I had spent all day in Shrewsbury. So it was just kind of getting into real eating, working, going to sleep. But the next morning, I knew that I wanted to get up and walk along the beach because it's right on the coast. So I got up super early. Barely any other people out. I think I saw maybe 3 people and a dog when I was out walking, which was fine. But I got to explore the neighborhood a little bit, and I love these row houses. So I wanted to make sure I got in a picture of that. And then it was off to the beach. You can kind of see the boardwalk here leading down. And then they actually have an aquatic center here that has water slides and stuff. And so I got to walk right past that on my way to the beach. And then here I am out on the sand. It was low tide, so I could go out and walk pretty far and see all of the things still embedded in the sand when the tide was out, which was quite fun. So the sun was just coming out. Actually, there it is. In this photo, the moon was still out. That's how early I was out there. And very windy. It was definitely a brisk morning walk, but that's okay. I enjoyed it. So I have all my photos from that. And then on this side, I decided to just do the one photo and then fill in with some ocean-related things, including these fun seashell sequins I found. They reflect the light so nicely. I just love how shiny it is. And it works for both sides because I used the same paper collection here to do both of these. So this is one of my favorites. This whole series of the beach is one of my favorites in the album. Then here I'm back to more regular size photos. I put some wood veneer there. Actually, I have another one here. 2 different companies. This is Allie Edwards. That's Color Cast Design. So this one is much thinner. Threw on some enamel dots and stamped. That's all that really took. And then it was back to my bed and breakfast to shower and get ready for the day. And a full Welsh breakfast was included. So I wanted to showcase that because it was phenomenal. She did a great job. I'm not a big bean person, so I didn't really eat those, but everything else I ate, and it was wonderful. I also chatted with another guest who was there at a different table, so that was fun. And then after breakfast, it was back off to Holyhead because I needed to take the train from Rhyl to Holyhead, and then in Holyhead I had to catch the ferry from there back to Dublin. So I wanted to leave myself enough time in case I missed the train, it was delayed, whatever, so that I could get a second train if needed. Luckily, it all went smoothly. No snafus or anything, so I was actually early to Holyhead, but better early than late. And then here I am getting ready to take the ferry back. So I have a copy of my ticket there. And this is the waiting area. Because I was so early, I just got to sit there and read a book for a while, which is great. And then I'm on the ferry heading back. I chose to do the special quiet lounge again, where I could have a relaxing recliner, kick back. And then I had a drink and then had Wi-Fi on board. So I did some work there too, because it's a 3.5 hour ferry ride back. I might as well do some work and get that done for the day. So you can see here, all I did was just stamp on a tag. Pretty simple, but that's it. That is my whole Wales album. I have enjoyed putting this together so much. I tried a lot of new things, did a lot of different techniques in here, and I'm really, really pleased with it. I originally thought I would keep Shrewsbury in there, but since I have taken that out, this thing, it's full, but it's not overflowing, which is nice. It's pretty much the perfect size. So now that's done, and I hope you will join me as I work through all of my layouts for Shrewsbury. Thanks for watching.